Okay, can I confirm that everyone can still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Right, okay. Right, okay, so I wanted to say welcome to everyone, and I'd like to congratulate everyone because this week, I think there's a fair few of you that have actually attended all 4 meetings. I wasn't able to attend Rex's one this week, but I was able to attend the rest. And, you know, I'm glad that I was, actually, although I didn't get Rex's one live, I did watch the recording. And I found all of them interesting in different ways. And I love the fact that everyone had a different vantage point. And it kind of emphasizes what I've picked up from the double blessing educators, from Oladapo and Kenvry. And I think you're all aware that both of them only started trading about a year ago. And yet within that time, they're already official IM educators. And what that said to me was the benefit of learning together, because they're always emphasizing that possibly right from the beginning, they've always been trading with their team. And I think what that does, you know, you bounce ideas of each other. But to me, it's not just about learning, you know, the good ideas from each other, but actually learning from each other's mistakes if people are transparent. And, you know, I think people are, and I've noticed that trend. And I think that's also very encouraging for the people who are right at the beginning of their journey, because, you know, as has been mentioned already, it's very easy to get discouraged, especially in the beginning where you seem to be losing a lot of trades, or you're forever yo-yoing. But when you listen to people's journey, you know, everyone's been there. And anyway, so that's why I've put up these 3 things here, because at some point I want to try and weave this into the conversation today. Right, anyway, but having said that, let me go into a little bit of trading practice. I'm not sure if we would do a trade or not, so my apologies if we don't, but as everyone said, it's not my favorite time of the day because it's so slow. And as has been indicated before, when you look at these candles, I actually find I prefer the volatility of the morning and the middle of the day, because when you go into a trade and you get a strong movement, that's much more reassurance for me, because it's far away from the point of entry. Whereas at this time of day, the candles move so slowly. It's like, you know, for me, I find it much more nerve-wracking to trade at this time of the day. Anyway, I'll go into it anyway. So I will look at the currency strength meter. And by the way, feel free to add your input if anyone wants to say anything. So if I do a refresh, and when I'm trading, I refresh obsessively, whether I'm with the educators or whether I'm doing it myself. Every time I'm clicking back and forth between Hourglass and the currency strength meter, I will always click on refresh. I will never look at the screen and assume that, you know, everything's correct. Actually, before I go to that, let me just quickly look at the news. News, what time is it now? 8 o'clock, so 8:30. Oh, okay, oh wow. Okay, so we've got news on USD. So we, you know, as learners, it's normally said stay away from anything that's going to be a red folder. So I would, you know, I'm a learner too, so I would stay away from USD at this time. And bearing that in mind, let's look at what's going on. Okay, so generally speaking, I'll be inclined to lean towards Euro JPY. I don't specifically avoid GBP, because I think Kemi mentioned, I'm not sure who said it, if it was Kemi, that mentioned she doesn't like GBP. I don't avoid it, but I haven't used it in a long time. My mindset is to be guided by the trading pairs that Oladapo prefers. So that's partly why I don't really look at GBP these days. So yeah, so we could look at Euro JPY because I like the gap between the two. So if I look at Hourglass, Euro JPY, okay, and just in case anyone is quite new, it's only after you do this with your mouse to stretch it that gives you maximum manipulation of the chart. So just in case anyone here is new. Right, okay. So, right, Euro is stronger. It's already made a move up. Yeah, and if I was looking at it, normally I would also be charting as well. But as I said, because I'm not really that keen on trading at this time, I'm kind of, okay, does anyone want me to do some charting, by the way?
Yeah, go for it, Albert.
Okay, right, I'll do a little bit of charting. Right, okay, bear with me 1 second. Right, let me just drag this over 1 sec. As some of you may know, I work in IT, so I've got 3 screens. So if I'm not looking directly at the camera, that's the explanation. Right, okay, let me just drag this one over. Okay, so it was Euro JPY, wasn't it? Okay, so just for those of you who might not use TradingView that much, when you have a paid account, you can customize the view. So I have the altcoins, some altcoins that I look at, and I have the Oladapo favorites with a couple of others. So I can go straight to Euro JPY. Okay, so if I go to the detailed chart, that's not a detailed chart. This is, yeah, okay. Right, so I did some charting previously. So I just go to the dustbin to delete it. And if I want to look at the candles, the way that we're guided is we start with the daily. And so with the daily, if you look on the top left, you have the various types of lines that you can use. And I go for the horizontal. And so the previous day, so if I go for the floor here, for me personally, everyone's got their own preference. I go for white and I give it a thickness of 2. And I will mark both the wick and the solid base of the candle. So if I just quickly do that, and you will notice, depending on your experience, you always have to click every time you go back and forth. You can stretch it out a bit more to make it accurate. Now, in the beginning, and again, please feel free to give your input, I used to get confused because I would be thinking, okay, yesterday's candle was in this range, but today is all the way down here. So what do I do with that? So in the beginning, I would ignore it. But now I've realized that you take that into account as well. So as well as marking yesterday's candle, I will mark the bottom of today's candle because the range is has gone outside the range of the previous day's candle. So I will mark that one as well. So once I've done that, I will go to, I will go to the hourly. Again, my apologies if I look weird because I'm looking at different screens. So I'll go to the hourly. And on this one, you see on the previous hour, the bottom of the candle is very close to the current one. So if I mark that, and I would normally, so I would only do the daily points in whites, and then for the hourly and the 15 minutes, I will use a different color scheme. So I do green for support. Now this one doesn't have a wick, so that's the only, okay, and you see it, it's not quite accurate, so I can adjust it slightly. Okay, and then I would do the support, so the resistance. So I just mark it at the top of the wick and I can change the color here. so red. And then I'd also mark the top of the candle here. But again, you see that with the current candle, it's way beyond the range of the previous hour. So what I would do now, I would also mark the top of the current candle. Now, it may possibly move while I'm doing this, but I would do it anyway. It's just to give you a range of what's going on. Okay, so that's the hourly. And then I'll go to the 15 minutes. Okay, and on the 15 minutes, so the previous 15 minutes definitely looks a lot more interesting than the current one so far. So, but you will see that that's taken into account from the hourly candle. So there isn't really, the difference between here and so between the daily and the top of the 15 minutes, there isn't that much. So I could mark it, and you tend to find that different people will mark in slightly different ways. So, okay, so if I just mark there isn't really much difference between those two, but I'd mark that. Before I go, actually, let me mark the bottom of the current 15 minutes as well. Again, it's still moving, so that may be fluid, but if I just mark that as well, and I put that in green. So before I go further, does anyone have any questions or comments about what I've done so far? Okay, right, I'll carry on then. Right, okay, so looking at this, so you've got, it's pretty close to a support here, and you've got a support down here. So what I would normally do, again, I'm not an expert yet, so if anyone has anything to say, please feel free to go ahead. So the closest one, that's at, what is that? That's about 0.48. So if I drag that across and see if that correlates to anything, and there's nothing here in HOURGLASS, yeah, there's nothing here at the moment. So yeah, so the nearest support is at 9.36. Yeah, okay. I sometimes look at resistance, just in case, but I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I sometimes look at resistance lines as well. But anyway, the nearest support here is 9.38, but it's not corresponding to anything here anyway. And let's see if it matches anything in TradingView, 9.38. Okay, so you see it matches this one here. So there is a bit of a correlation. And just to answer a separate question, I think Colin was asking me yesterday about the Evan Cardinal markings on TradingView. So to do that, you just go to indicators. I've already marked it as a favorite. Sorry, Cardwell. So Evan Cabral. I don't. If anyone wants to make a note of this, I'll leave that up for a minute if you want to do a print screen. So it's the second one down. So if you're in TradingView and you want to put that indicator in, which is part of the double blessing, this is the one that you're looking for. So it's the Evan Cabral binary strategy 2. So I'll leave that for a second. Okay, so before I go any further, has anyone got any questions?
Nope.
Okay, that's cool. So if I click on that, you see that the Evan Cabral comes up there as well. So this has various support and resistance lines as well. And what you tend to find is that sometimes there's a correlation. You see there's a correlation with the candle here, and there's a correlation here as well. Okay.
And further up.
Oh, here is, yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And again.
Oh, well, this one here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do see various correlations. Okay, so, but let me, it's not close to anything at the moment, so let me see just in case. And also I tend to refresh HOURGLASS because it's, it can be buggy sometimes and not always up to date. So that's, that's what, that's kind of my due diligence that I do when I'm trading. I'm forever refreshing. The thing to be mindful of, though, is when you refresh, always remember that it doesn't refresh to the same location. It goes straight to the dollar index. So you have to make sure you go back to where you were before you did the refresh. Okay, so there's a call of 2. Yeah, as I'm sure most of you, I won't do a trade if it's less than 4. 4 is my minimum. So there isn't really anything really attractive there. So I'm inclined to go to the crypto part of my conversation, if you're okay with that. But before I jump to that, does anyone have any questions? Okay. Oh, okay, that's cool. All right, thank you. Right, okay, so the next part of my presentation is, right, it's the mindset, because, you've probably heard it from a lot of people. The strategy you do is, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's not nearly as much as important as your mindset. You get it banded around. It's 90% mindset, 10% or 20% strategy. And it's so important because, and I think even, Kemi brought it to mind yesterday. She was saying that if she uses a dummy account, she can win a trade so many times, but then when you go live tends to be a different story. And we all go through that, and it's the thing that holds us back. It's fear, it's doubt, and it's a case of how do we get past that? Because it's only when we get past that we become a better trader. And I think it's important to never let your ego get in the way, but to be a forever student. That's how I see it. And I've noticed that when I listen to educators, some of the really big players within the organization, when they have their their go live sessions, quite often you tend to find, I notice it in crypto particularly, you tend to find that other educators are listening in and they're learning as well. So the way I see it, if you always have a forever student mindset, you're going to grow them that much more. There's always some little bit of knowledge that clicks, after repetition. And sometimes it's a case of, it, but then there's a moment when now I really know it, and, that comes through repetition. And also from trading, it's, I think it's very important to, we all have busy lives, hands up. This week, because I've got a new job recently, I've struggled to find the time to trade. But even when I don't trade, I find time to study. I listen to recordings when I get home. So even if I'm not trading, I will make sure I will listen to go live recordings afterwards. And even the recordings that you guys did during the week on, when Rex did his one on Tuesday, I wasn't able to listen to it live, but I made a point of listening to the recording afterwards. And I think that's very important in terms of us learning and getting better. And that's what's going to make us all get better eventually. And if I was a teacher, so if I was to put a teacher hat on, I would say it's really important that we're firm with ourselves, and I would say give ourselves homework. So does everyone here have a trading strategy? If you've got a trading strategy, can you give me a 1 in the chat, please? And if you don't have a trading strategy, can you give me a 2, please? Right, okay. I would say don't underestimate the importance of having a trading strategy. It's so important, because it's a case of, if you don't have a strategy, what do you do when you're doing well? And on the flip side, if you don't have a strategy, what do you do when you're doing badly? And the reason I say that is because if you're doing well, when do you stop? Because, I'm sure we've all had this thing where we're doing well. We've won, I don't know, 2-3 trades in a row, whatever. And then you know what? I'm going to do one more. Or maybe we did that by ourselves and we thought, you know what? One of the educators is coming on later. I'm going to do one with them as well. And then even though we may have done well by ourselves or with the educator, by doing that extra trade beyond the strategy that we set, suddenly we reduce our profit. And then we go into the spiral. So I think it's so important to have a trading strategy and then to stick to it. Now, hands up, I have a trading strategy, and when I don't stick to it, I get punished. It's amazing. So what I've decided to do, because it's one of those things where most of the time I'm disciplined, and then every now and then I say, oh, let me do one more. And then so often I get punished for it. So that's partly why I've decided that I'm going to open a second trading account. And I'm going to have a different strategy for each one. So one of them is going to be my ultra conservative trading account. My target is going to literally be 2% a day, no more. And if I feel this urge to do more trades, it's going to be a separate account, because then by doing that, I don't cancel out the progress that I'm making in my sensible account. And, that I was very much influenced by Naon Foster, who teaches the DeLorean strategy. That's one of the FRX strategies. And he was talking about having multiple accounts that serve different purposes. So, for example, I might even have 3 accounts. So what I might end up doing is having my sensible 2% account. And by the way, Matty Picks, the person who came up with the CashTrap strategy, that was the method he used to grow his account into millions. I've forgotten how many millions. His target wasn't 5% a day. His target was 2% a day. And another reason that makes me think along those lines is what Oladapo said at one point. He was saying that in the beginning, when he first started, he struggled to grow by 2-3% a day. But over time, then it was possible for him to grow by 5 to 8% a day. So the clues are in what the educators say. I don't just listen to the trades, I listen to what they're saying, because their thought process, as far as I'm concerned, is so important. Their thought process to me is like a set of tools. And once you've got the set of tools, you can apply it in so many ways. That's my perspective. So and it kind of leans over into my mindset with crypto. When you have the discipline, my mission is once I know I have the discipline, I think purely in terms of percentage, not in terms of amount of money. Because then if I grow by a certain percentage on a consistent level, then I can say to myself, do you know what? I can put more into my account now, because I've disciplined myself enough to not go crazy. I can put more funds into it, carry on with that strategy, and then I can compound my account. And this is where crypto comes into it, because it's, we're always talking about multiple sources of income. So my mindset is that the reason why I'm on the elite package is because I've got HFX, which they call the daily, what do you call it? You use that to pay your bills, it's daily income. And then I look at crypto as my long-term investment. And I've been in crypto since 2017. And again, I'm always listening to what people say. And you see within the market that crypto always goes up and down. The people who panic are the people that are new to it. So when they see it dropping, they either panic because they think they've bought too high, or they decide that if they've been thinking of getting into the crypto market, they say, I'm not touching that. It's too volatile. I'm staying away. It goes in cycles. It's regular. And the longer you've been in crypto, the less concerned you are by these fluctuations. But what you tend to find is that when the stock market is doing badly, what you tend to find is traders, they transfer their funds into the crypto ecosystem. And then when crypto is doing badly, they transfer their funds into the stock market and, and other markets and Forex. So to me, that tells me that the people are capitalizing on the best place to be at certain times. And I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but Forex is seasonal. You get people like Neon Foster, pardon me, had a fizzy drink. You get people like Neon Foster. He hates trading in December. It doesn't work for him. And then you get someone like I've forgotten who it was. Someone within our group. She said that she doesn't like trading in August. You know, it doesn't work for her. You know, these are things that you pick up over time, and that's why you sometimes get traders say, "I don't like this trading pair. I don't like that." You know, you pick up the pattern over time. Anyway, so going back to crypto, let me just. So my mindset is that once I know that I'm consistent enough with HFX, I will divert, you know, some crypto into that, and I'll use that to compound my account. So before I now finally move on to crypto, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask me? Okay, I'll shoot ahead. Right. Okay. So, by the way, can you give me a one if you have the DCX package? I don't know if anyone here has that. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Cool. Right. So, within DCX, you've got you can use it to make money daily, but because my attention is divided on HFX, I haven't focused on that side of it, but I will give a brief explanation of that. But where my focus has been in crypto has been on the investment side, in investing into altcoins. And because that's been my strategy, you know, since 2017. I knew that I wasn't a skilled day trader, and that's actually partly why I joined the academy. I'm confident of my abilities as a long-term investor, but when I was honest with myself, I realized I didn't have the day trader skills. That was something I wanted to learn, and I knew that the academy was the best place for me to learn that. So in terms of the long-term investments, we have a whole bunch of different educators within DCX. So if I go into all chats, for example, and if I give you an example of exchange chat, I'm probably going to find, Curtis. So he's the one that I follow the most because he focuses on, you know, he really deep, you know, he investigates coins, looks deeply into it, recommends good times to buy. And let me just go back. And what they tend to do is they will give suggestions, and it's not as time sensitive as HFX. You know, normally it can be relevant for most of the time. It can be relevant for a couple of days, to be honest. And they will give suggestions about various coins. And if I use, say, Bitcoin USD as an example, because there's been a fair bit of movement recently, and so they would give suggestions about a good point where to buy Bitcoin. But bear in mind that if you're leverage trading on something like MT4, that's, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's kind of like it's the advanced version of HFX, but you're dealing in pips. And the difference is, in HFX, if you win a trade, it's a fixed amount. But when you're dealing in pips, if you win a trade, the amount that you win depends on the size of the candle. So the bigger the candle in favor of your direction, the more you win on that trade. So we have this thing here. So on the swipe coin, the two coins that we're giving guidance on are Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what they've done over time, they've actually improved it to make it easier. So previously, when they gave us these charts, you would get like the buy button and the sell button, and we had instructions about if the candle closes at a certain point, you know, you would go in there. But now they're making it more detailed, where they're actually giving us written instructions on what to look out for to give us guidance on the trade. So yeah, so that's how people basically earn money using DCX on a day-to-day basis. Before I go any further, does anyone have any questions? I think someone was asking earlier, saying before that they don't know anything about DCX. I don't know if you want to ask me anything. I think that was Sakuna. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hiya.
No. I think I just wanted to know basically, how do you actually get into buying? Like, because I believe with DCX, there's two areas. You either having a portfolio or you leverage it. So how do you actually like which medium do you use to actually buy the DCX? So even if you choose which one you're going to buy, the cryptos, how do you actually go about buying some and then sort of trading it, as it were? Do you understand? Yeah, that's one of my questions.
You buy cryptocurrency, you mean?
Like now, like for example, you've shown this chart where they're telling you that, yeah, so like, how do you get to the stage whereby, because you must have, I don't know, is it because if you have a portfolio of some cryptos you've already bought, then you're sort of trying to, I don't know, buy and sell some, or I don't really understand, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So basically, the assumption is that you have you have an account either on an exchange. As a beginner, it's likely to be on an exchange anyway. So people start out on Coinbase, and then I always say, if you open an account with Coinbase, you move on to Coinbase Pro as soon as possible, because that gives you flexibility and it's cheaper, and it gives you more control over how you buy your Bitcoin. By the way, it's crypto is pretty involved, so you can always reach out to me privately, so that's not a problem. But in terms of getting properly educated, because what I tend to say to people is, you know, whether you're an academy member or not, I tend to say, you know, try DCX for a month, you know, and because there's so much information in there that at the very least, you would get enough you would get enough knowledge to not make mistakes that can be very costly. You see what I mean? So what I mean by that, so if I go into, let me just drag this from another window. Let me give me 1 second. Okay, so give me just 1 second. Right, okay, so the person I mentioned, Kurt Cobain. So what he does, just like HFX, within DCX, we have we have regular sessions, and each educator specializes in different areas. And where is it? Somewhere. Okay, here. Here, he gives really good advice in how you get started in crypto. So like I said, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I can give you basic information, but the information in here, he goes point by point what you need to do to get yourself onboarded into the world of crypto is really good information. So the way that I look at it is that if you're doing DCX and you go into the things that you can study, you're going to be so knowledgeable. it has so many levels. I haven't even mentioned, because I haven't spoken about DeFi, NFTs and all that kind of stuff. There's so many different ways of making money in crypto. That's what I love about it. So it's, and in a lot of ways, it actually, so even though I'm not, a guru or an expert in HFX yet, it's because I know I've got stuff going on elsewhere that kind of like, how should I put it? It gives me peace of mind. I don't worry. I don't feel like I'm totally invested in the trades while I'm learning. Because one thing that I always think to myself is, why is there such a high statistic of people that fail in trading? The way that I see it is that, in the beginning, you take high risks and people over leverage themselves. And when they over leverage themselves, a combination of over leveraging and inexperience creates this emotional roller coaster. They eventually get disheartened and stop. Whereas if they allow themselves to be mentored by experts, and again, going into the risk management thing, if you have a strategy rather than trading blindly, during that learning phase, the strategy that you have will give you a buffer against your mistakes, if you see what I mean. So even though you're making mistakes, the mistakes you make aren't going to damage your account too much. So it's like, so until you get good enough to be consistent, you're stopping yourself from making major mistakes that make you say, oh, this is too much, I'll give up, I'm not doing this anymore. You see what I mean? So again, so to me, psychologically, knowing that I have these kind of like midterm, long-term investments in the world of crypto, it helps me with my HFX. It helps me be patient. And yeah, that's what works for me anyway. So Kurt talks about the basics of how to get into crypto, but then going to the advanced stuff. What he also does is, if I go back to this thing here, where is it? What he also does is all chats. Where is he? Exchange chat. I've got it somewhere. Yeah, what he also does every few months. One second, I'm in a Zoom chat, Hannah. That's my daughter coming to pester me. Right, okay, so he will, every few months, he will talk about various coins and which exchanges to get them from. So he will have like a free tier system, the main cap coins, Bitcoin, etc., the mid cap coins, and then the very cheap high risk coins, high risk, high reward. So based on this coin list that he has, he will give suggestions. If I go back to it, he would give suggestions. It's not just about what you buy, but when you buy it, and that's where these suggestions come in. They would give suggestions on, okay, the price is going down at the moment. This is a good time to buy at this point, and the same in terms when the price goes up as well. This coin is doing very well at the moment. We suggest that you cash out when it if it gets to this point. So from my point of view, it gives me an extra boost of confidence when I'm invested in crypto. So now if I'm looking to buy something, if it's on his list, I can use that as a guide of at what price point to buy or sell. Yeah, okay, so that's that. Does anyone else have any questions on that? Oh, people have been chatting. I haven't even been reading it. Let me see. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I missed out on Solana. Oh God, yeah. But the thing is, you can. It's that FOMO thing. It's at the end of, you're never going to be able to get in on every coin. There's so many opportunities out there. So I missed out on Solana, but there's other coins on these lists that I've got in on, and I'm doing okay on those ones. So yeah, because the thing is, we all have a budget at this stage, so there's only so much you can invest. And what I've been guilty of in the past is having my money split into so many different coins, even when that particular coin may have done well. Yes, I did very well percentage-wise, but relatively speaking, it wasn't really that much money. So I'm learning to try not to spread my resources into too many coins, and also not to have FOMO when I miss out on something, because again, I have faith in Kurt's methodology in terms of picking coins. So I can be happy with what I've got, being patient. Some give rewards quicker than others, but I'm happy with my portfolio, if you see what I mean. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I don't want to keep you for too long. So let me see. Yes. So what I can do, because well, the trick is to get me to shut up when it comes to crypto. So I'm happy to share information. And if any of you want to focus in a particular area next week, we can definitely do that. I don't want to make this too long, especially because everyone's been attending meetings all week, and I'm the last one, so I don't want people to be stuck with me for too long. But yeah, you can always ask me questions out of this meeting. But yeah, again, also, if you want me to focus on a particular area in crypto for next week, I'm happy to do that as well. NFTs. Yeah, do you know what? NFTs, I don't know, that I haven't looked that deeply into it, but there's I don't know, actually one of the educators is doing an NFT course at the moment. That's why I think DCX is so good, because if I bring back that screen again, 1 second, where is it? Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so if you look at these DCX educators, actually the list is growing. They have their different specializations. So what I mean by that, Kurt, he's the one that I tend to go for in terms of mid-long-term investments. This guy here, Mike Soretto, he's the one that he did a decentralized finance bootcamp. I think that was in June. Now, those of you who don't know what decentralized finance is, one aspect of it is, think of it as an ISO. When you have an ISO in a bank which pays you interest, this is an ISO on steroids. So basically what it is, there are certain cryptocurrencies where if you hold it for a fixed period of time, they call it staking. Depending on the coin, it can be, some of them have a fixed time where you have to hold it for 3 months, 6 months. Ethereum, I think you have to hold it for the proper Ethereum staking, I think it's a couple of years, something like that. But there's other coins that you can stake, but you're able to withdraw at any time. But they pay interest, and the interest that they pay can range from 3% to, what's the highest I've seen? Even like 12%. There are some that are higher, but I forget which coins they are. So if you imagine you're holding a cryptocurrency and you're staking it, you're being paid interest of 3% plus per day. Like I said, a lot of them are like higher than that. And then what the interest is in the form of that same currency. So then let's just say you've got, say you've got 100 coins and you get an interest of 5%. You've now got 105 coins, and then you're getting 5% interest on 5 coins, and that just keeps accumulating over time. So all these different, so DeFi is just one method of, gradually compounding and accumulating your wealth in the crypto space. So anyway, so that's what Mike Soretto was teaching in his bootcamp. You've got this guy here, Sion. he teaches people how to do the scalp trading here. So he does this a few times a week. So if you're unsure about how to do the scalp trading within crypto, that guy is one of the guys to follow. So that's Sion here. You've got Crypto Picasso. He only talks Bitcoin. He's been a trader for, well, I think it's 15 plus years, and he's focused exclusively on Bitcoin, I think for about 8-10 years. So he only talks Bitcoin. If I remember right, he does his sessions about 7 o'clock UK time. I think it's at least 4 days a week. So yeah, so he's purely Bitcoin. This guy here, he's the XRP specialist, and the others I'm not so familiar with. I followed him before, but I've forgotten what he specializes in. Who else is there? Who else can I tell you about? Ivan Paychecks. He's well known, not just within the academy, but he was the first person to ever buy a luxury apartment using Bitcoin. He did that years ago. So we've got some big players here that we can learn from. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, NFT. Yeah, I'm not sure which one to say. One of these people, it might be Mike Soretta, I'm not sure, but there is an NFT boot camp going on at the moment, which I intend to start doing. But yeah, I'm not quite sure which one of these educators is doing it. Anyone else got any questions? And feel free to take off your mic, by the way. Okay, that's cool. Right, so if everyone's okay, I think I'll end it here because I don't want to make it too long. And yeah, if anyone wants me to focus on a particular area of crypto, I can go over that next week. Cool. Okay then. Right, I'll talk to you all later. So I'm going to stop recording. Stop recording.